Profiles and Legends continues. Once again, Mac Edwards.
No one is quite sure how many fires this antique fire truck helped put out in its 30-some years of service. It raced up and down the streets of Fayetteville, its bright red paint and shiny chrome fixtures glistening as it sped by. It was a thing of beauty, especially to a fireman named Jackie Lee, who, along with others, helped save this truck from becoming a pile of scrap metal and restored it to its original luster. Not long after joining the Fayetteville Fire Department in 1975, Jackie Lee, who'd always had an interest in antique fire engines, discovered an old fire truck stored in a garage on Hillsborough Street.
It was parked in that building for a number of years, and a lot of things began to happen to it. The tires went flat, the seats began to rot, and some people came in and didn't appreciate it and would abuse it and put tools and things on it, and soon you could pass by it and wouldn't even recognize it as a fire engine.
After seeing the deteriorating condition of this classic fire engine, Jackie Lee and Captain Raymond Smith and others decided to take action, either get it restored or sell it to someone who would. There were, though, obstacles to overcome.
Well, the biggest thing was talking to those who had the authority to give us permission to go ahead and give it to us, to let us show them that we thought enough of the vehicle and wanted to save it.
The vehicle was certainly worth saving. Delivered to the Fayetteville Fire Department in 1920, it served the city reliably for the next 34 years. Times sure were different when it was first brought into service.
When the alarm come in, the truck would circle the market house one time. If he didn't pick up more than 3 people, he would circle it the second time. And by then, he may have picked up 2 more. If it was a working fire and he could see the smoke and the flames from the market house, he may make the 3rd trip around it so that he'd have at least 7 or 8 people. 3 or 4 would get on the tailboard, a couple could get in the seat, and 1 or 2 hang off the side. And each one of them has a designated job to do when they reach the scene of the fire. One would put the ladders up, one would stretch the hose, and the other would get the hand tools, and a couple of them would start stretching hose lines.
Determined to bring the 20, as they now referred to it, back to its original condition, they started up the chain of command.
Finally, under leadership of Chief Piner at that time, who's now retired, and currently Interim Chief Nichols, we talked him into letting us have a little fundraiser and getting the ball rolling. So we raised some funds, and City Council joined in and made a promise to us that they would assist us.
They organized a variety of fundraisers, and once the money was in place, began looking for someone to begin the restoration. Colonel Robert Biggs from Raleigh and an assistant who had restored 6 other trucks took on the job of refurbishing the neglected fire engine.
They worked on it from about 10 in the morning until 3 or 4 in the afternoon every day, 2 people. Completely disassembled it, repaired, repainted everything, every part, and he wanted it to function properly, more so than what it looked like. It didn't matter to him.
1 year and 7 days after the restoration began, the old 20 emerged, as good as new.
It was finished back as near natural, according to specifications, that we could possibly do at that time.
The expense of the project exceeded the original cost of the fire engine.
The initial cost on the truck new was $11,500, which was big money in those days, but it cost us $26,000 to restore it. And that certainly does not include all the man hours that we spent running up and down the road and different people doing things on their own time.
To Jackie Lee and the others who worked on the project, the simplicity of the old fire engines is what makes them so attractive and made their efforts worth the time and money. Jim Kyle Sr., a longtime supporter of the Fayetteville Fire Department, never thought he'd live to see the beautiful fire engine restored. But before he passed away, he was able to ride on the restored truck one more time. He, like the others, remembered the good old days when these trucks were state-of-the-art.
They were field repairable. The tools came with the trucks to make any sort of a repair just about it out while you were working on the fire. The fan belt is made up of links. If it broke, you simply added a link, kept on running. If the battery went dead, it didn't make any difference. It had a magneto on it. You crank it with the hand crank. You didn't have any flashlight batteries to go dead. You had kerosene lanterns. These were simple machines, and they're still in service now 81 years later.
Are there any other fire engines in Jackie Lee's sites ready to be restored?
There's a few. Some people just don't want to turn loose, and sometimes they sit there so long that it's almost impossible to find the parts that you do need.